Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from
Very,
wherever
very
you
good
join
morning.
us.
Leaving.
So, welcome back to Global Strategy Talk Show. So, today we will be talking about a very important topic, Office of Strategy Management. So, prior to that, let's get a quick introduction from all of us. Yeah. So I would like to quickly brief about a global strategy talk show series. So this the program is sponsored by Fru Strategy, a comprehensive solution for strategy management. So why this is very important to have such webinars, talk shows, and summits is what we thought is there is a tremendous knowledge available with the consultants, practitioners, and managers. So not everybody knows, especially mid-size and startups, and even some kind of larger organizations, government, public sectors. So many people don't know these practices. So we are using this as an opportunity to connect senior leaders in the industry and to the managers, practitioners, and executives in the companies or in the private sectors, profit, profit, non-profit, and all. So it's a main idea to connect experts to the practitioners and executives. So to large extent, we succeeded in this for last 1 year, 2 years we did several. This is, I think, if I understand correctly, this is the seventh talk show on the strategy, and then we had multiple summits, three summits with 3 days programs. So with that, I will be very happy to introduce the global strategy talk show. Today's topic is Office of Strategy Management. So a quick round of introduction. So I'll start from the right. I would like to take up the introduction from Mr. Nadar. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Nadar, for joining the session today.
Thank
It's
you
very
very, very
important,
much.
very sincere appreciations from everybody. So thank you for joining. A quick introduction is Mr. Nadar Al Shawa is an accomplished consultant specialized in strategy, performance management, and operational excellence. The unique blend of things. So, with experience in Lean Six Sigma, he worked extensively with both private and public sectors. He brings deep knowledge in strategy planning, balanced scorecard implementation, and organizational excellence frameworks. So, he helped many organizations in Middle East and also, I think, primarily Middle East. I think he worked in other part of the world also. So, thank you, Mr. Nadar, for joining the call today. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. Yeah. So, let's talk about. I welcome a heartful welcome to Salahuddin. Mr. Salahuddin is joining from Montreal, Canada. So it's very early morning today. So,
Very,
Mr.
very early. I
Salahuddin,
hear you.
yeah, very early. Mr. Salahuddin is a seasoned management consultant with over 30 years of expertise in strategy management, strategy planning, strategy execution, and organizational change. He is specialized in translating strategy into operations. He has successfully led cross-functional teams through significant business transformations in both public and private sectors. So thank you, Mr. Salahuddin, for joining the session today. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Uh, Welcome, Samir, again to the show. Samir Govardhan is a certified strategy planning and execution professional with experience in developing and implementing strategy management systems across large and mid-sized organizations at the same time. And as a project management professional, he has extensive experience in managing enterprise projects and also project management information systems and project governance frameworks. So he's a complete professional for organizational strategy management. So welcome, Samir.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Thank you.
So I take this as an opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Sheikh Abdul Khader, the CEO of True Strategy, uh, Data Labs India. So I help along with my team. We help organizations to automate the strategy management processes, especially strategy analysis, formulation, and execution processes. So thank you very much, all the panelists, and also I welcome participants for joining the session today. So thank you very much. Okay, so very quick round of introduction from your sides, if you would like to talk about very quickly, then we will just venture into the topic. So, Mr. Nader, just say hello to our viewers. Then you can start just saying, yeah.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a great honor, really, to be with you. I don't know how many times now. You know, we know each other a long time ago, and it's great. Really, I want to appreciate your invitation first, and also the subjects that you are really tackling all the time. Last time was about strategy. Today about strategy management, which is really great topics, and I'm very happy to share, yeah, my experience, my knowledge, discussion, whatever about this new subject. So how shall we? I don't know. Maybe now, Mr. Salah, would you like
Yeah.
to talk, or Samir?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Just a quick introduction, then we will go to the topic. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Salahuddin, welcome note.
Thank you for your invitation and also for your presentation. I want just to adjust something. I am not specialist in strategy, but I am facilitator for strategic planning. Facilitator for strategic planning. So I can do strategic thinking, strategic analysis, and so on, but I am not an expert in strategy for the organizations. But I facilitate strategic planning from the strategy definition till the execution, and mainly I am very interested by the OSM role. It's a strategic one and nevralgic one, and people don't know exactly what is it and what it has to do, and at the same time they take some let's say margins, some flexibility in providing it responsibilities within the organization, and difficult to implement it in the organization because of the resistance of the others from cultural point of view. What is this animal? What it will do? And mainly people are afraid. This guy, he comes from nowhere, and he will develop our strategy. What is not his role? The OSM does not define the strategy, and people are afraid from that. And then there is a resistance from the functional units themselves. The strategic department, who thinks that he is the one who has to create the strategy. The others who don't know the finance, for example, don't understand that. And this role has to be connected directly to the top, the CEOs or president in the organization, to be protected and sponsored. People see in that kind of illegitimate promotion to someone, to have access directly to the highest power, and depending on the sponsorship given to this guy, he is allowed to do some things. And in general, it's under what should be done according to the real role that he has to play. He accepts if he is a beginner, new in this role with less, not enough experience, he can accept how the job definition is done, to not disturb people and so on. And during the execution and so on, he sees that he is overwhelmed, marginalized eventually, and this is, it can be the failure, the heart of the failure of the complete strategy and strategy execution and so on. So I stop here. We will have
Well,
to.
you summarize. You
I think you
summarize
just
everything.
summarized. I
We
think
can close the show.
yeah, you already pushed us to the discussion, Mr. Salahuddin. Thank you very much. So I think every organization needs a strategy, whether we like it or not. And the CEO have to take the ownership of the strategy.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody in the organization. And it has to be aligned and executed at all levels in the organization. That's it's very easy to say this. Now, why we need OSM? Why we need Office of Strategy Management? That's let's start with the basic discussion. I think Samir, you have been into OSMs multiple times and you are there
Yes.
now. So why don't you start with that? Why we need OSM first of all?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
I would just take a moment to say Assalamu alaikum to everybody, Ramadan Kareem. And thank you very much, Sheikh Abdul Qadir, for organizing this event. I think you and your team is one of those rare, organizations that are taking this strategy management domain a step forward every month, every quarter. And I've been following you for the last 4 years, and the progress has been, mashallah, exponential. And you're bringing leaders like Mr. Nader and Mr. Salahuddin across the globe, and bringing them to this platform and sharing this knowledge in one summarized way. Mashallah, I see almost 100 years of experience here on this platform. So a lot of wisdom that is being there for everybody, a student like me of strategy management to learn from.
No, with your
So-
experience, we are more than 100.
Well, thank you very much. It's really kind of you.
Thank
But
you.
I'm already learning a lot from Mr. Nader and Mr. Salahuddin, already sharing their wisdom. Yes, I've been luckily involved in managing strategy management offices, or OSM. And I got exposed to a lot of different organizations in different contexts, especially in different maturity levels. So I think one of the critical roles of strategy management, as to make it simple, is to facilitate the vision of the shareholders or the owners to become a reality. Right. In essence, if I have to summarize it, how do we do that? Is how the OSM essentially works on its mandate. Right. But in a nutshell, it's to facilitate the vision of the organization's shareholders or the top management to make it a reality. So I think, and then the rest is all in details. How we do, what functions, what management processes we look into it. But I think that's the summary, nutshell. So I leave it to you, Sheikh, to
Yeah.
take it from there,
Yeah.
and we'll back from there.
I will ask a question in a different way.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Nader. So what happens? Let us say we don't have OSM. Okay. So we don't have OSM. Let us say, how does that strategy management look like? Then you may realize that why we need a strategy OSM, because many people don't know still OSM. Okay.
Yes.
So why we need something like OSM from in your experience?
Thank you very much, very much. In fact, before we jump to why we need it, first of all, I'd like to say, or to ask the bigger question even, why OSM? Why? And this is really the crucial question. If we want to answer this one, especially for the last 20 years, we should focus on this new, or what's happening in the business environment as a whole. How it came more and more complex, how this environment is changing all the time. And that's why one of the main reasons why OSM, the complexity of the business environment, complexity, and the business itself became more volatile. And based on this, then we came to the reality that strategy itself, as Mr. Samir mentioned, strategy itself need to be continuous, need to be moving all the time, not as we used before. In my age, I use that. I know the strategy when they were doing it periodically. I mean, fix the strategy, monthly review meeting, a semi-annual review meeting, and then annual retreat or whatever. So now we, because of this volatile business, because of this new change, etc., then we need the strategy to be continuously development. And based on this, then we need to have, how we call it, rapid decision making. If we have these issues, then we really come to the point that we really need rapid decision making in order to follow up this new trend in the market, this new trend in the business, this, etc., etc., etc. So these, I think, these are the main issue behind why OSM. Then this is the global issue. Then if we go to more details, I mean, about the functionality of the OSM, then we can talk. I don't know what I can talk too much about it. First of all, we talk aligning, and this is what, like Samir mentioned, aligning the strategy with the operation, using these different tools, balance scorecard. I don't know, OKR. I don't know, all these things. So these are the if we talk about the functionality, now the new, using the new technology, using what we talk about, align, or how we call it, align the resources of the organization. And this is very crucial, especially now. If we don't have, now we come to the core issue. If we don't have OSM, you can imagine the resources of the organization, how they are spread here and there and there. So if we have this office of strategy management, and this is one of the challenges, in fact, challenge of the office of strategy management, to streamline the resources, to streamline the efforts, to align the organization itself, to meet the cross-functional, to use the cross-functional issues in the organization itself, to have a real-time monitoring on the performance of the organization. I myself, maybe also Mr. Sheikh knows, I work as the Office of Strategy Management head or manager for about 15 years. So before we have this Office of Strategy Management, you can say whatever. Everyone was playing in his role. I don't know what, using this the resource of the organization. I don't know how, and then come by the end of the year or by the end of that, well, hell of mess. Nobody knows what's going on. I don't know. Shall I
Correct,
continue?
correct. I think,
Communication
yeah,
issues, all these issues.
yeah. I think you said it very nicely. In when we started strategy management early 2000, so actually the CEO is the one who is responsible for strategy,
Yes.
and a part of business development will be taken care by the business development people who are very important in the organization. The finance is another side where they are very important for the organization to do the strategy part. Similarly, operations people. So what happens is the CEO is the one who was doing all coordination earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the moment we bring Office of Strategy Management, so Office of Strategy Management help CEOs to architect the strategy and also to do all collaboration part. Okay, facilitation. Okay, it's a OSM help primarily do the facilitation, and OSM makes everybody like a strategy as a current. It's not like that we have done something in the strategy and then forget about it. So, but presence of OSM makes everything is live. They take care of it. Okay, if
Yeah.
something goes wrong, they are the one who raise the flag. They are the one who update to everybody. They are the one who connect to the CEO and give the feedback. And they help many things, which we discuss now as we go on. Okay. So I think let us take the roles of OSM in step-by-step manner. Let us talk about strategy formulation. Okay. So what is the role? How do OSM play a key role in the strategy formulation? Of course, strategy analysis and formulation. As Mr. Salahuddin rightly said, OSM is not responsible to create a strategy. Okay. If a strategy management office guy, if he create a strategy, that means something is wrong. Okay. He facilitates basically. he facilitates, he empower, or he enable the senior executives who are the business leaders to develop a strategy or to execute a strategy. But they are the facilitators. Now, let us talk about something. When you are doing a strategy formulation or strategy analysis and formulation, how does that the OSM do necessary coordination or collaboration, and how may they make it success? Mr. Salahuddin. So you are already saying this. So how this will happen? Yeah.
So we go to your why OSM is required. Why we have OSM? First of all, I am the oldest in the group, so I knew maybe older ways of doing things before the event of the strategy XPP, the approach of Kaplan and Norton, and so on. Strategic planning, corporate strategy is a transfunctional process. By nature, it's transfunctional. People before were planning together, defining together the strategy, and when they go for the execution, it's executed by the functions in silos. Each one take his part and start working. In this case, we generate from the unique strategy, corporate strategy, different strategies proper to each function, who try individually as entity to optimize locally. When you optimize locally, you are not optimizing globally. You are throwing problems aside to the others. Okay, so it's not an local optimization, it's local maximization. So from this state of mentality, even when people are getting together to plan, to define priorities and so on, there is a competition between different functions. The one who speaks louder, the one who can get more alliances left and right, political side and so on, gets more budget and then more priorities and so on. At the end, you don't have a corporate strategy, you have multiple strategies in the organization, non-formal, that work in parallel and kill the finally. That's why the idea of OSM, the concept of OSM, became obvious. You need to manage this strategy in a cross-functional way. It's not belonging to any department, it's belonging to the corporate. As when you position the ownership at the level of the corporate, then everything after that starts being taught in collaborative way to achieve collective objectives, collective goals. Before the OSM, it was just fight, and generally, even if we start at the high level to define our strategy, in reality, it's
There is some background noise. Please make sure. Yeah. Is it okay? The voice is clear? Yeah.
No, your voice, Mr. Sheikh, is clear, but Salahuddin we are not hearing him.
Yeah, we cannot hear him.
Salahuddin, can you check your mic? Can you check your mic, please? Yeah. Maybe you can speak to laptop. So, okay.
No,
Okay.
you are
You
muted,
are in
Mr.
mute
Salah.
now. You are in mute, Mr. Salahuddin. Okay. Yeah, I think there is some. You can just remove and you can talk to laptop. So that will be better. Okay. So
But
let us take.
he's muted.
Yeah. Salahuddin, you are in mute. Just for your information. Yeah. Okay. So let us take one step by step. So let us say we are starting a strategy refresh or a strategy formulation process. Maybe somewhere in August, usually organizations do. Okay. Now everybody is fresh. Then maybe everything is done. Holidays are over. Now the CEO says that, yes, let us do the strategy refresh, or maybe any crisis in the business who it forces us to do strategy refresh or new strategies formulation kind of thing. How to start with that? So what is the process? So would you like to start, Samir? How do
Sure.
you? Yeah. Mhm.
Sure, with your permission. So I would like to take just one step back and then see. I connect the dots from building the OSM itself and to the formulation exercise. And as Mr. Nader and Saladin rightly mentioned, today we are in a global economy, right? So the real gold right now, or the most valuable thing right now in the world, is information, right? So as a CEO of a 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 employees, the essence is to have that access to information so you can make informed decisions, right? So who is looking at this global landscape, and who is also looking at this micro level, from macro to micro, to your industry, to your competition, and to the internal performance, right? There has to be somebody who is orchestrating this, right? Who is collecting this information and organizing it in a form that is consumable, contextualized, and can be used to make informed decisions, right? So that's where essentially the OSM comes into the picture. These are the key members, or those few members, that orchestrate all of this. Now, how do I connect this to strategy formulation? You typically have three major components in strategy formulation: be it a refresh, be it a development, be it a review. So you start with your strategic foundation, that is your mission, vision, values. Typically, if you're a mature organization, you will have this very well established, documented, and very well clarified. Also, reflected in your organization policies, processes, all the way to the employee level, right? And then you have the mission vision, that is time bound, which is at a 3 year, 10-year horizon. And being in Saudi Arabia, I can give you a very practical example. The biggest organization, in my opinion, that is actually running the strategy itself, is the Saudi Arabia government itself, right? Vision 2030 is a prime example that tells you how well the vision is being articulated, disseminated, and run on the ground. I'll give you a very practical example that happened 1 week or 2 weeks ago. In Makkah, they witnessed nearly 500,000 pilgrims in one day. And I remember Mr. Sheikh and Mr. Salah and Mr. Nadir, if they were in Saudi Arabia back in 1998 or 99, you would you there would be few hundred people at max around Makkah or Kaaba who are doing Umrah or whatever. So that tells you that they're transforming. Their vision is what? To move away from oil-oriented company. So oil-oriented nation. So how do you translate this? This is essentially the strategy formulation translated into initiatives, action items, right? So how do you do this macro analysis? The whole world is moving towards electronic vehicle, moving away from oil and gas, becoming carbon efficient. Somebody has to orchestrate this, right? So if you're sitting in Saudi Arabia right now as an organization, you need to have access to this information. Electric vehicles is big thing. Lucid is now in Saudi Arabia. Imagine Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest producer of oil and gas, and then they're also focusing on Lucid. There is a factory being established in Saudi Arabia. How contradicting that is, but that's part of their vision. That's a strategic choice, and that goes to the definition of strategic choices or strategy management. You make careful choices based on the information available to you, right? So I'm just connecting all the dots together. I took a couple of minutes extra, but this is part of your macro analysis, right? How you formulate your strategy considering the macro analysis. look at your global footprint, how other countries are playing in this domain, minerals, mining, all these areas, tourism, right? Saudi Arabia is now very big on tourism. So similarly, an organization works in the same domain. As you need to have this macro analysis, then you of course have the internal analysis, your performance, as Mr. Nader mentioned, Salah mentioned, how you connect these internal performance. Then you come to a strategic choice decision, and then I would also want to listen to from Mr. Nader and Salah from their point of view as well.
No, you have done, you
Great.
have made it very, very excellent. In fact, and
Yeah.
you summarize the things. What I want to just also to continue what you have mentioned. Then after we make this environmental analysis, and I'm focusing now in order to go back to the core of our session. What is the role of OSM in this? And I have
Exactly.
lived this, yeah, and that's and in fact that's what I lived for about maybe 15 years. Our main role is to bring, first of all, to bring the data from the outside, to bring the data for benchmarking, to bring the data about our stakeholders, to bring the data about our customers, etc., 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 and to bring all these things and put them on the table. And then if we want to start with this, what we call it environmental analysis or strategic analysis, to check our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities outside. As you mentioned, if we take the example of Mecca or Al-Hajj in Saudi Arabia, everything is moving around, everything is changing, the preferences of the people are changing, the preferences of the also in the local governance also are changing. So the role of OSM is to bring all these things on the table and put them on the front of the, let us say, the strategy owner or the CEO, because well, maybe we'll talk about it later about the location or where is the OSM should focus or should be related to, and that's what they like very much. I mean, just to, the CEO like very much if the office of strategy manager is doing his job well. So bringing all these things together and bring all the main, we call them the main player or the main contributor to the strategy on the table, then this comes the role of the OSM to start, fine tuning, shortlisting, etc., etc. Then we come to the real and the practical, etc., etc., about our if we call it the SWOT analysis or the environmental analysis. Moving in from there, then we can start looking at our challenges. These are the strengths, these are the weaknesses, these are the opportunities. What are the type of challenges we are facing as a company or as a government, because I work for several government organizations, as a government, in order to, if we want to say something theoretical, in order to achieve our vision, as Mr. Salahuddin mentioned at the very beginning, to achieve our vision, to achieve our mission, to keep our values, to keep the values we are committed to in front of our customers, in front of our stakeholders, in front of even our employees. Moving from there, and if these things are clear and now very well organized, etc., etc., then we move little bit more to define our priorities. And I always really mean to call them priorities to avoid saying objectives, because objectives, okay, this is a general issue. But we say our priority, and this is the role of OSM, because of our background about our clients, about etc., etc. Then we set these priorities into, also put them on the table. So we have our priorities here in front of us. Then we'll start to prioritize the priorities, if I may say this. So then we are really now ready to the next step, building the strategy map, building the balance scorecard, the KPI initiatives, etc., etc. Yeah, I hope I don't want to take too much time, but just to summarize.
Very interesting. Yeah,
Thank
very
you
interesting insight. The Office of Strategy Management is like a very important extension of CEO's office, basically. It's very important because there are so many moving parts. Like
Yes.
you engage in industry consultants to bring industry knowledge. Crisis. There are a lot of crises across the globe. maybe some material shortages, which will turn you, maybe completely damage your business. Maybe alternate materials, all those things, already the CEO is worried about that. And he also need to worry about the process of doing all this is becoming will become a big headache for him. So that's where the OSM steps in. So they bring the industry literature, or maybe if they buy market research or whatever, they work with industry consultants, they collaborate with all the stakeholders. Okay. So stakeholder management is something which is the first thing what OSM do. I think Salahuddin, you were talking about the other day about the stakeholder. Can you just give a brief about how you start the stakeholder engagement?
First of all, boss Samir has explained in a very pedagogical and precise way the process of strategy, from where it starts till it becomes something real in the execution. Nader came with the other side to focus more in the role of OSM in that. I don't want to repeat these things that you explained very nice way, but I want to go a further step, additional step for the OSM role. At the beginning, the OSM has to ensure, depending on the intent of the organization, are they going for a strategy that leads for change? Means we do what we do in a better way, more efficient way, more in terms of cost, in terms of quality, in terms of satisfying the same customers that we have, or we are going for a real transformation involving, for example, digitalization and so on, because it's required. And in this case, the first thing that OSM has to make clear, it's different. There is a difference between managing change, because strategic planning is the ultimate change maker. Are we going for change management or transformation management?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what is it, he has to ensure that the to assess and to ensure that the organization is ready, the readiness of the organization to drive and to conduct the future challenge because of the intent of the organization. If the organization is not ready, it doesn't matter which process we follow, we will not be able to conduct it. We will not be able to conduct it. The organization is able to make sense of what is to make sense for the organization is, do we have connection with the environment? Do we have the capacity to interpret the trends, heavy signals, low signals, to interpret them and to transform them in something that will bring action within the organization? First of all, because if the organization is don't have this visibility, yes, we can follow the recepts, pastel method. Let's go. We collect. We have collected, but do we have the capacity to interpret these things and to transform them in actionable for the organization? This is fundamental. Do we have this capacity or not? If we don't have it, we have to get it. It's not blocking. We have to get it. The second level of readiness, do we have the capacity to envision? The staff we have, the capacity we have, people we have, maybe they are not able to envision, to be able to design a vision. Okay, a vision that is solid, valid from external point of view, from the market point of view, from the perspective of the leaders themselves and the managers. There is leadership and management.
Excuse me, allow me, Mr. Salah. I just want to focus on this issue. You mentioned transformation. Is this the role of OSM, or this should be decided from the top management? Well, maybe we know the answer, but just for the audience to understand it, maybe you can highlight on this issue, please.
Just to complete the what we have to assess, and you are right. And then, do we have the capacity to advocate the strategy, to communicate clearly, to transmit, to develop, to mobilize people, and to build the alliances through the right communications internally with internal stakeholders and externally with our partners horizontally. If you have to convince shareholders or suppliers, or do we have this capacity of advocacy? And it has to be supported by a communication strategy about the strategy itself and so on, to mobilize things. Do we have the capacity to invent? Maybe means to innovate, to develop the processes, to re-engineer things, to align later on the strategy itself. And all this has to be done through different perspectives. Strategic perspective, the capacity to when we talk about alignment, do we have the capacity to align things? Do we have this experience, or do we master these things from the strategic point of view to have a fit in the organization, a fit that we build to achieve our vision? The other side, political perspective. You know that the organization, you have the formal structure, and you have the informal things that are very important in terms of who is influencing whom, who can resist or who can support the organization to go against her. If we don't identify where are the nodes in our organization from technical point of view and from political or social point of view, how we can assign responsibilities, mobilize people, provide responsibilities to support the alignment, the sponsorship of the strategy, and so on. And the third perspective is cultural. The culture of the organization is made in this way, actually. What are the parts of our way of doing business? Culture, business culture. I'm not talking about culture in general. What are the parts that we have to get rid of? They are all. What is the part of our business culture that we have to keep? And what are the parts of our culture that we have to change in the perspective of the transformation eventually? If all this is not well assessed and well with a mitigation plan for that, we can start with the best processes, with the best definition of the roles and so on, but it will not work because all these things were not there. That the frameworks help us to think, but they don't think at our place, and this is the problem. If we go through the process just with checks done, we are not in the spirit of the model.
You're right.
Then your question, Nadir, was?
Yeah, my question was about the role of the OSM in this transformation. Is the transformation is the role because you mentioned it. You mentioned the transform, and thank you for your details about the transformation. It changes, but we want to highlight here also for the audience about the transformation. Is it the role, one of the role of the OSM, or the role of the top management? And OSM will be facilitating, because we really want to focus on the role of the OSM. OSM facilitating the transformation, make it easier. And if we just want to highlight something here about the importance, if we go for a transformation or even for a change, one of the main roles of which I was playing very hard, very how we call it, deeply, the change management, because the transformation will be definitely will be linked with the changing in many issues. It's changing in the habits, it's changing the roles, it's changing the mentality, it's changing many issues about the change. And then one of the main roles also for the OSM to how we call it, to make this change soft, clear, nice, to avoid any conflicts or any resistance. As you mentioned, there will be many resistance, of course, if we go for transformation by the real meaning of the transformation. Then we really need the change management. One of the main roles of the OSM is to manage the change and to help and to make it clear that they are not going to lose their job, they are not going to lose their roles. It will be for the benefit of the organization and also for the benefit of the individuals. That's what I want to. Please, Mr. Sheikh.
So very nice. I think just let me try to just add one or two lines here.
Sheikh, just a sentence to support what Nadir just said.
Thank you. Yeah,
you are right. The OSM takes care of things that are not taken care by others, obviously.
Yes, of course. Yeah, yes.
That's why I have added this.
For sure.
Think of readiness, because the others may think in siloed thinking, not strategic thinking, in transactional thinking. We are ready. We are capable to do.
Perfect, sir.
Okay, Sheikh.
Perfect. So let me add a few things here. Yeah. So when we talk about OSM, the processes, frameworks, methodologies are all good. Okay, they are all actually the guiding principles. If you are using a balance scorecard or if you are using OKR, it does not mean that you will be successful. It does not really matter. It's only a guiding principles. So tool or a methodology framework alone is useless if you are not doing it properly. That is number one. Number two is, if the strategy is very important for the organization and if the strategy is very important for the CEO, then your OSM is really strong. You don't have to do that because he will empower it. If OSM is not empowered to take care of these transformational things, then nothing will happen. OSM will be only just preparing reports. With that, no strategy will be executed. They're like performance reporting. Okay, so the modern OSM, what we talk about, Office of Strategy Management or Office of Strategy Execution, they work themselves as a real execution arm for the CEO. They really make it happen. Okay, they may not do it themselves, but they make it happen by proper collaboration. Okay, by itself. So collaboration capability is one of the strongest requirement of the OSM. Okay, so that is one of the strongest, and they should be flexible. They should take the things, they take the pressure from everybody, and then try to formalize the things, and also have a very strong eye on the implementation process. Okay, so you don't just deviate it. So they need to be very strong how to do it. And as a people, the OSM people should be the people guys. Okay, so they should be knowledgeable, adaptable. At the same time, they are very tough guys to do this job. Okay, so that makes the OSM is very critical job. Now let us take. I think things will be clear when you take one topic by topic. Let us take one example. How the budgeting is done in the organization. What is the role of? Very simple. Yes. Budgeting is done by the finance, the CFO, the managerial accounting guys. But what is the link to the OSM? But when you do budgeting, Budgeting means allocating your funds for all of the rest of the year. Okay. So if you allocate something funds to execute something which is not in the strategy, then you are doing something wrong. You are not really executing your strategy. So
Mr. Samir wants to talk.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm coming to him. By the way, this question is for him only. Okay. Now, the budgeting is so critical that it has to be done properly. Okay. So OSM plays a key role. So there is a good overlap, at the same time, good link between OSM and finance. Samir, I know I am directing to you this. Okay. So please go ahead and explain
Yes,
this.
Mr. Samir, please.
Thank you very much.
I have all questions like
Actually,
this, brother.
actually, I want to connect the earlier question that you mentioned about the strategy and transformation, and as Mr. Nader rightly mentioned, and it's very important to focus on strategy and transformation, and then I will link it to budget, because actually practically this is what is happening in my organization right now. So to answer the question, how important is transformation and who facilitates this transformation, the answer is, as Mr. Nader rightly mentioned and Saladin already mentioned, it's the board of directors. Our establishment of OSM was mandated by the board of directors. They said, dear CEO, your role now is to establish OSM. So if you get the empowerment from board of directors, nobody will resist you. They can't be resisting you anymore, because now it's the mandate from the board of directors. And as a result of that, every board meeting, every quarter, we present to the board on the progress of the strategy that was approved by the board of directors. So that's the kind of empowerment we are talking about. If you don't have this, as you mentioned, Sheikh sir, you can good luck getting any strategy done, because you will ask them for strategy initiative report, balance scorecard report. They'll say, please, I'm too busy right now doing my operations. Come back next week. And you go with blank scorecards, blank initiative reports to the CEO. Because he will not focus on the nitty gritties, right? To be fair to them, right? So how do I connect this? Now, once you are empowered by the strategy office through the CEO and the board of directors, you can walk into any of the collaborative functions or the enabling functions office and say, by the mandate given to me or by the power vested in me by the CEO and the board of director, you are required to implement this program. For example, ERP implementation. For example, CRM implementation. This is a simple initiative, not easy, but simple. And you need to report on this. So they are now mandated, forced. Every quarter they have to report to the board. Now linking it to the budgeting exercise, right? And just one more element on the change management. I think it's important to differentiate between transformational change management versus organizational change management, right? These are two separate elements. And OSM is focusing on the transformational change management rather than the organizational change management. I think that's one of the key areas that people very easily get overlapped, or they think it's one and the same. Actually, it's not. The OSM's role in change management is focusing, as Mr. Saladin mentioned, focusing only on the strategic mandate that was given to them, rather than talking anything and everything about change management, right? So they can be the fact bearers, or they work with in mature organizations. You have the change management offices, you work with them, right? So that's how you link all these together. Now we'll come to the budgeting exercise. If I have the mandate from the board of directors, from my CEO, and I have these processes established that I have to integrate, one of the key elements of OSM and one of the values, as you mentioned, to be a collaborator is also to be an integrator. I have to integrate different processes. I cannot just work in silo in making strategy. I can conduct workshops and whatnot and make a very nice document and put it on CEO's desk and then forget about it and go back to doing my operations. It will never work. You have to link it to your business planning exercise. That is where the strategy is now translated into actually executionable items or terms. What does marketing will do? What will finance do? What will HR do to contribute to this enterprise strategy? There are operational plans. I believe every organization has one enterprise strategy. Everybody else is preparing an operational plan or departmental plan to contribute to that. Now, I know the term of strategy is very easily misinterpreted, but this is my opinion. I can be totally wrong. I have more wisdom and wise people here. So I'll just complete the point. For budgeting exercise, if I don't have the business planning processes where I integrate HR, finance, and IT, and the risk, and the marketing, and the sales team, I will never have a budgeting exercise. It will be a pure financially driven exercise based on certain assumptions that I have no idea what is the context. Why did I have these assumptions in the first place? Example, if you want to grow by 5%, based on what are you saying that, yeah, sales department, that you will grow by 5%? What is happening in the market? Can you give me some reference that tells me 5% is a reasonable number? Maybe you are sandbagging the target. Maybe you are overestimating just to get more bonus for this year, right? As Mr. Saladin mentioned, you have to be, stakeholder management is critical. You need to know what different people are saying. And one value that I think should be a core element of every OSM team is the trust and the integrity. So as a strategist, one of the core element that I should have, of course you should have it as a person as well, but as OSM team, you should have this integrity, the trust that every department can come and talk to you without feeling threatened, without feeling biased, that you will use this information and present it in a different format for your gains or to support somebody else, right? I think that's one of the key elements. I hope I summarized the points. Sorry, I took a lot of time.
No, it's okay. If you allow me, Mr. Sheikh, I want to just to also to highlight something about the budget, which is very important. And now it's very, very important issue. And well, I want to highlight on this terminology, statics. This is one of the main issue for the OSM to really a guideline or whatever you call it, the expenditure or the money that is going to differentiate between OPEX, CAPEX, and the statics, which I myself have experienced a lot of the trouble and a lot of headache when we sit there with strategy and differentiate between OPEX, CAPEX, which is a normal budgeting, and when we come to the statics, as you mentioned, Samir, that for example, the marketing or whatever, they want to increase sale and they want money for that. Okay, at the very beginning, I tell you a very, very nice story, or not a story, it's experience. Every department comes, I said, I want millions. I said, okay, fine, no problem. We will give you this. We will give you this millions. But by the end of the year, you have to show me, as an office of strategy management or director of strategy or whatever, you have to show me that this million you requested, you have used it and you bring benefits which is equal, I don't know what, for this million. Believe
Value
me,
gap closer.
believe me, the next day they come back with not million, maybe $200,000 or even less, because they know that they are going to be followed up and they will be, asking them why you use this money. And I asked the financial department, that's final thing. I asked the financial department to put a special column or row in the budget itself until this is the statics, and this money you will be monitored, or you will be asked, or you will be etc for this money. OPEX, that's not my job, but statics is my job as office of strategy management. And everything was changed drastically when we put these items. And that's what I wanted to highlight also about the budgeting and the role of OSM in budgeting or resources or whatever.
Perfect, sir. Perfect. Actually, I'm fortunate to work in both OSM and also I was head of planning. So I did budgeting also as a part of my departmental job. So that was really crazy. Okay. So we had a very tough work with the finance. Of course, finance was doing the major part of the budgeting. Okay. So I have a first-hand experience in linking strategy and budgeting. So the StratEx part, which is the initiatives, which is very important to close value gap. Okay. And then the OPEX part and CAPEX part, basically the operational expenditure part, which will come from your strategic projections, what you are going to achieve next year. So for 1 year, which we call it as a business plan. So what is the breakup, financial, from the production side, sales side, whatever departments you have. So that's your operational expenses. Capital expenses come from your foresight. So what is your 3 to 5 year plan or more? So how you want to have your capabilities or capacities? So you come up with a CAPEX. Then specifically discretionary initiatives which to add value to your strategy will be StratEx. Okay. So now combining these three have to be monitored by the OSM very closely. Otherwise, they will get lost. So otherwise, these things, the funds allocation will be political. Okay. So that's where the role of OSM plays a key role. Okay. So OSM plays unbiased, a transparent role to help them, not to fight with them or not to prove them like a OSM is a hero. So with that, we'll take one question. Mr. Shahin Muhammad very nicely said, okay, how to avoid a battle between OSM and departments who feel they are doing the work and OSM is taking the credit. Very nice question. So, Nader, would you like to answer this?
I
In
think it's
fact,
other way around.
thank you very much. You give me the difficult question, Mr. Sheikh. In fact, this one I lived with it all the time. I mean, for 15 years I was living this one. But here comes your cleverness as Office of Strategy Management Director or whatever you call it. And here we highlight on the issue of, maybe we did not cover the communication issue. You should show them, and to be honest, as Samir mentioned, to be honest, and whatever you call it, and to show them that you are only trying even to show their business, to show them what they are achieving, what they are doing, and to be all the time to be on their side, not to try to take or to bring these things as it is your own achievement. And that's what I was really doing during, and this is very important, during the quarterly meeting or the monthly meeting, that to show that this is the job, or this is the achievement of operation department, this is the achievement of finance department. I will tell you just short story about this one, just came to my mind. When I was, and this, believe me, this is a real story. When I was there in my job, we were in a quarterly meeting, and everybody was sitting in around, and everybody was and I was showing by that time the performance of the customer service department was going down. And sadly, I saw that the head of the customer service department was going, shrinking in his chair and sitting like this, and everybody start shooting. At this time, I just raised my hand. I told them, hey, wait a minute. Everybody, the chairman was said, okay, Nadir, what do you want to say? I tell them, okay, wait a minute, and I want just to highlight something. I asked the customer service, can you explain why your performance coming down? He said, he starts saying, I need budget, I need training, I need, etc., etc. And everybody in the room, the HR start shrinking down, the finance department start shrinking down, etc. So you have to show that these issues are not, you are not here to blame the people. You are here yourself as OSM strategy or manager, whatever, to highlight the issues. Then when I clarify this issue, that it is not the customer service department fault, everybody is nearly sharing this, whatever. And even if it is not only reducing the performance, or but if the performance are going high, you have to show them. I think using this technique and communicate and your cleverness, then I think you avoid this one, and everybody will be supporting you.
Correct.
So
you rightly said, sir. So I think if OSM is taking the credit for something what they have not done, that means OSM will become a big failure. Okay.
And will be blocking. So and because I just want to highlight one point issue. If you try to this one, the OSM success depends very much on the information and the support you receive from departments. Correct. If you try to do this one, they will block this information, they will block coordination, and then you will be doing nothing, will be failure, as Mr. Sheikh mentioned.
Correct. Yeah. So the success of the departments, the acknowledgement of the individual departments should be actually highlighted. Is and it is, I think, one of the most important things. Some departments, they talk very loud. Their manager is very strong. They highlight it across the table with everybody. But some departments, they are doing a good job, but they are not very talkative, or they don't express. So in that case, OSM is the one who should highlight this, because these people have done a great job. Exactly. So all these things together will come as a favor in favor of OSM. Finally, OSM will become a hero, like a unsung hero. So you are there. Everybody knows about you, and then people start liking you. Yes, Mr. Saab. Yeah.
But
Sheikh, I want to add something to what
Yeah,
Samir,
please.
this difficulty that you have explained in relation with the StarTex and the methodology or the framework of Kaplan and Norton. His main target or core, he gives a big attention to ensure through the OSM, or it's the role of the OSM, that the execution is in the DNA of the strategy formulation. The way we formulate the strategy condition build the DNA of the execution itself. Okay. If we take an organization that is structured, mature, and so on, it's easy to introduce the concept of StraTex. It's easier. StraTex is a good distinction between what is OPEX and CAPEX and StraTex. You have to ensure that when people are participating in the strategy formulation, they know that they are collaborating to build something that is the ownership of the corporate. It's a common it's over all interests. When they agree on it, they have formulated it. This is the ownership of the corporate. Everyone, it's above any interest in the departments or particular interest and so on. This has to be, the OSM has to ensure that people understand that after the formulation of the strategy, we have one strategy, one interest, one way of prioritizing, and it's prioritized. So when you are formulating the strategy, the OSM has to give a big attention to how people formulate the strategic objectives. Yeah. They tend to, because of the accountability, because of their interest in the department and so on, to propose, in general, transactional objectives, not strategic objectives, that are linked more to their operations than to the strategy itself. First. Second, they don't want to be accountable for something that is too
ambitious,
challenging, that is too challenging. I've seen that close to 50% or 60% of the first proposals to contribute to the strategy formulation are linked to the improving transactions, improving processes, improving the operations themselves. That they have nothing to do with the StraTex lately. So you have to be careful. If you take care of that, first of all, the strategy formulated is the ownership of the corporate. It's above everything. And second, you ensure that they don't define strategic objectives through the perspectives and so on that are transactional, not strategic, not transformational, as Samir said. You will have problems later in the discussions, even if you are a clever OSM with the right style of leadership and all the characteristics of good communicator and so on. You will all the time have to bargain. There is no place to bargain in when we go for the execution. Everything is set, aligned. The alignment, it's systematic. Okay.
Perfect, sir.
Inside, sorry, Sheikh. When the organization has a certain level of maturity, it's okay. Now, if you introduce the concept to a governmental agency, big size, who think all the time just we have had these expenses, this budget last year, we request last year budget plus 6% or 10%. We are focusing on the expenses. We have expended, and the way of working of these agencies, if you don't, at the end of the year, if you have not used completely your budget, you will not get it next year.
Correct.
So they consume the budget and they request for more. Now you come with this concept of strategic planning and balanced scorecard and these things. They tell you, we define our budget, and everyone knows what to do in expanding the budget. Why we are talking about strategy? In general, they don't have the connection between their mission that has been given to them as agency, governmental agency, and the role of the reason why this agency has been created by the government as development entity that has to support the development of the country, the economic growth, the make the place attractive for foreign investors, having more let's say, transparency in the market. The place is the right place to do the business and so on. They are out of this. They are just there conducting their mission as with no link with the strategic level at the country itself.
Yeah, very nice,
so
sir.
They have to understand that before going to implement this part and to ease later the discussion about the budgeting, strategies, these things.
Yeah. So I think we have to take care of the time because it's already 1 hour for 10 minutes or so. So now some key role of OSM is for the strategy translation, which is like a defining strategic objectives, the strategy map, and then also the measures. So define them and then fix the targets for that, help them to fix the targets. So this is one of the key area where the OSM plays a very important role in form of designer and also in form of the collaborator to fix that. Then we have initiatives identified as part of statics or whatever to close those gaps. Okay, and then manage these initiatives as part of your regular reviews. It's all things, and apart from that, we have like a risk and compliances to take care, because always the checks and balances should be there. Okay, and then you have a review meetings, all this like a strategy review meetings, strategic corrections. There are many things, challenges which are not part of the process itself. Okay, so take care of the stakeholder engagements kind of thing. So now let us talk about those things. We don't have time. Okay, so now let us take one of us to talk about one area. Okay, then others comment to cover the time. So we'll talk about strategy translation, which is like identify strategic objectives. You come up with a strategy map, KPIs, and then fix the targets. Okay, so let us start with that. So Samir, would you like to start with this, just to coordinate and then support it, and then we talk about the initiatives, then we talk about other areas. Then let us conclude because we have another 15-20 minutes. Then we take up some questions. Yeah.
Sure. So it's coincidentally, I'm actually in the process of translating the strategy right now. I have clearly established 33 scorecards at different levels. As I'm speaking right now, we are going through the process of, we already identified objectives and KPIs. We identified list of initiatives. We are now in the process of setting the target. So just taking a step back, you have the vision. right? And you have this strategy that you want to grow certain X by certain time, you want to be in certain geographical expansion, you want to be operationally at a certain level, you have to be like the employer of choice from an organizational and employee human capital perspective. So how do we translate this? As we discussed and Mr. Saladin mentioned, we identify the focus areas. There might be 20 different things that you're that are implementing or that are being affected by you or affecting you as an organization, but you have to choose, you have to prioritize which areas you want to focus, because like everything else in life, you have limited resources, you will never have unlimited resources. So the idea is to prioritize which where you will deploy these resources to get the maximum out of whatever limited available capacity you have and the time frame that you have. That's where the strategic objectives comes into the picture. And one of the beauty of balanced scorecard is it brings the balance. That's why the name balanced scorecard is there. And it also addresses one of the attendees asked the question of how do you manage the issues of somebody else taking the credit. Balanced scorecard gives you that balanced perspective. And one key element, each KPI has a KPI owner. So it's as evident as it can get, and you will not see OSM there. OSM is, you will never see a KPI owner OSM unless there is very specific area, right? So that's one of the key elements of balanced scorecard. It brings the perspective you on four main dimension: financial, customer, internal processes, learning and growth, or organizational enablers. Right now there is a triple bottom line as well, focusing on the society and the enablement. So that's one of the key areas, and how you have the KPIs linked to this, targets, and of course the initiatives linking to these particular objectives, right? So I think that's where you have to be a critical enabler for the organization to connect different areas. I'll give you a simple example. We came up in a first draft, as Mr. Nader was saying earlier, we came up with around 60 different 70 odd KPIs in the first session, first iteration. Second iteration, we as OSM, we went back into our back office and we filtered it down to 45. Is it perfect? The answer is no. But I am happy to have one scorecard, because one few months ago I did not have a scorecard. So it's part of, as Mr. Sheikh mentioned, continuously iterating process. First draft, I'm happy, I have a scorecard. And how do I bring accountability? I bring people. You are the KPI owner, I am not. I will report on your performance, not my performance. So it's you. If you don't want to report on it, by all means, justify it to the CEO. I am not saying you should not, or you should. My scorecard will go at the end of the quarter. You will report on the performance that is available to you. So I think that's I'll give that to Mr. Sheikh, and we can
Yeah,
build upon.
that's very good. So I think now this is very critical. Once we develop build the balance scorecard, the accountability starts get assigned to each objective or each KPI. The most trick part in my experience is fix the, first of all, agreeing on the KPI as a strategic measure is very challenging. First, in some cases, maybe it's quite obvious. In some cases, it's very complicated because they don't agree, okay, on the formula or whatever. Or sometimes, that formula does not give you exactly the outcome of the strategic objective. Okay, so especially we have a very tough time in agreeing production efficiency, because they said there is a downtime, there is a raw material shortage, there is a formula not available. How can we take the production efficiency as an accountable for manufacturing? So like that, but that helps organizations to think the complexity and then bring the ownership. It's not only about the KPI. What is important, identifying the process of the KPI itself help you to untangle many things in the organization. Some hidden complexities will surface, which can be addressed once identified. So then leave alone the target fixing. So targets is almost always a complex job. There is no proper 100%. I don't see one case where the CEO will be 100% happy with the targets. It will never happen. But
Yeah.
at least we have some kind of the way forward. So we agree on something, whatever we agree. At least there is a reporting mechanism.
We have a baseline. We have a
Baseline to start with. So strategy map is something which is very important tool, which will help to view the whole thing. So what do you think, Mr. Nader? about the strategy mapping and then translation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we go to the strategy map, I want to highlight one important issue because allow me, gentlemen, and everybody, I'm trying to really to focus on the OSM role
OSM.
in the strategy. Yes. There is a great role of the OSM to how we call it, to define or to develop the KPI itself. Once we have the objectives, and this is another story, but there is a great deal of developing the right KPI from the objective. And this is the role of OSM, I believe, in order to have the right KPI that really represents the objective itself. If we mislead, or if we misuse, or if we did not have the right KPI from these objectives, then we are in a really big trouble. I'm telling you a nice story just from my experience. A few months ago, I was giving a consulting for a big organization. I gave them the training, etc., etc. And now you will see the issue. A lady there was working there, and she was one of the team there, etc. She was giving me a call. I was in Saudi Arabia, and she told me, "Look, Mr. Nadir, we have excellent strategy. We have excellent strategy map. We have excellent KPI. And here is the story. The KPIs are going like this, but our business is going like this. What's going on?" I told her, "Hey, come on. You have to review. First of all, I don't want to bring you from the zero, but you have to review your SWOT analysis, you have to review your objectives, and most important, you have to review, have you developed the KPI that really represents the objectives and the vision you are trying to achieve?" And this is very important issue. And this is the role of OSM. As you mentioned, Mr. Sheikh, at the very beginning, we should have the skills, we have the knowledge, we have the experience, etc., etc. I want to add important issue about the OSM stuff. Maybe we will not have the time to talk about the stuff itself, but they should be very well knowing the business itself exactly, not to bring somebody I don't know from where and put him. No, these people should be very well aware about the business itself. So if we have the right KPI, then this is the starting point of it. So we'll avoid the story as I told her. Then you should go back again to see how you deliver the KPI. Maybe you're talking about potato and you want to have I don't know, shawarma, maybe. I don't know. So you should have the right KPI that really represent the issue or what you are trying to achieve. And setting the target, that is another story. Well, come back to your question, Mr. Sheikh, about the how after we have these after we have these objectives, there comes the real job also again to the OSM staff or director to allocate these objectives in the right perspectives. You know, we have these four perspectives: financial part, customer, process, internal. And there are some organizations I work with them, they prefer to have another perspective down in the bottom that represent the initiatives or the programs or whatever they call it. So this is here now become your role as Office of Strategy Management, how to allocate or where to allocate these objectives and put them on the right place. Not to forget also the nature of the organization. Is it for profit organization? Is it for non-profit organization? Is it public sector? Is it private sector? And here where we can build the right strategy map, where we will put the perspectives of each one. Some organization, if it is for a profit, of course, you know, but for the audit, if it is for a profit, the financial part will be on the top. If it is not for a profit, then maybe the financial part will be on the bottom. I have some experience that this financial came on the side, can support only two parts of the perspective. Lot of the story. That is where your experience, your knowledge, where you're knowing more about the business itself, where you can allocate this perspective, and hence also again allocate the objectives on the right place. And then we come to the issue, which is some people, some organizations, they like it or not, about the themes. You should be able to create the right themes in order to organize the objectives from the bottom to top to the bottom, etc., to have or to represent or to express the themes or the main themes that you are trying to achieve. And that comes also to the very beginning when we talk about where is the tension, or what exactly the organization want to achieve, focusing on customer service, focusing on the operational side, focusing on the financial part, focusing on the environment, for example. Here we can create the themes which will be cross with the perspective, and to put the right objectives on the right perspective, and also on the right theme. This is about the strategy map. If we want to move to the balanced
Yeah.
scorecard, or I leave it to someone else.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, we have many topics to discuss.
It's
The
very
next thing
important, very
is
big issue. Yes.
the,
Please.
the moment we have balance scorecard, strategy map in place, the moment we have KPIs identified and fix some targets, the next thing, which is very, very important, is to identify the initiatives. So align all
Yes.
your projects. Okay.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Salahuddin, what do you advise? So how best we can identify initiatives and make sure that the unnecessary initiatives are rationalized? Then how you form like a programs or portfolios? Then assign, maybe you assign them to a PMO or whatever. How you can, and it depends on the size of the organization, whether you have a dedicated PMO or not, or sometimes the OSM itself plays a role of a mini PMO kind of thing. Okay, so how does that initiative management take place? It's very important. Yeah.
The initiatives issue starts earlier, when you are defining the objectives according to the perspectives and so on. One way of minimizing the conflicts of targets first, and targets are very important, they have to be synchronized. When the targets are synchronized, then comes the synchronization of the KPIs and the pertinence in the definition of the KPI according to the nature of the objective itself. One way that we have experienced that comes from the framework. Identify, assign strategic themes owner. And each owner will have a team to work specifically on the strategic theme. And then they start negotiating between teams to have a better, your target for this objective is X, but it impacts my objective that comes earlier. Can you adjust the target in terms of output or in terms of positioning in time temporarily? When we have this kind of negotiations between teams, strategic teams, and adjustments in terms of targets, then the KPIs will be the right measure according to the target itself. And the synchronization, because we have a links cause effect in the map. If you have a target that is not synchronized with my target, or your KPI for this objective is not ensuring that the target will be achieved in the right moment to not impact negatively my objective, then from this discussion that takes time, like defining what are the strategic themes, it takes time and of analysis and so on. It's crucial for the next. Then we minimize, Nadir, we minimize the problem of defining the right KPI. Now, the executives and the operational guys, transactional guys, have problems in defining the right measures and the right KPIs. They have to be supported by the analytic team that we have constituted to support them just in not deciding which KPI, just defining, helping them to define the right KPI, to measure the right thing. in relation with the right target, in relation with the right objectives. So if we proceed according to the framework, we minimize these issues. And at the end, we have the right KPIs for the right initiatives that are aligned with the target for each objective. It's an algorithm. You go from step, you validate step, you go for the next step, you validate the next step, and so on. From validation to validation, you bring more convergence and more pertinence in what is defined later in terms of KPIs for them. But people need to be supported by an analytic team who is specialized in that, who will follow the performances later and so on. But it's technique, and you don't need to have each one specialized in defining KPIs, but they need support. That's it. That's what I want to add to what Nadir.
Thank you. If you want me to, if you allow me about these initiatives, and this is very important role for OSM, and we come back to the resource allocations. Once we have, of course, I don't want to go to the details or the technique of choosing the initiatives, but it's very important, as we all know, that initiative is to bridge or to close the gap between business as usual and the target and the vision, etc., etc. And here comes the role of OSM to choose or to help to choose the right initiative with the right resources. And very important here, if we have I can show the matrix, but it's not with me now. To have really one initiative can cover more than one objective, and here comes the role of OSM, who can see the holistic view of the whole issues, because everything comes to you. And this is the cleverness of OSM manager or director or whoever, when he has all these issues on the table and he has all these initiatives on the table, then he can match how many objectives or KPI can be covered with one initiative, or how many. And I'll tell you a real story, because I lived this one. When I put this matrix, this is very important. You can see a lot of stories, something that really, something good and something bad. You can see some initiative that does not really cover any objective, which is loss of money. And you can see some objective without having any initiatives. How can this objective can be achieved without have any? This means that this objective is not necessary. This objective is already achieved, so we don't need any. So this is also, again, back to the main objective of this meeting, the role of OSM to see the whole picture, to align the resources, to see to correct the directions, to all this stuff. But I just want to highlight about this initiative because it is very important. Correct. and cost the company how many millions of of initiative that sometimes they are not necessary, sometimes they are just waste of money, etc., etc. Sorry.
Correct.
Okay, Samir, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Sheikh,
Yeah.
I would like to give a very practical approach to this, something that we have implemented multiple times and we are currently also implementing. I'll connect what Mr. Saladin mentioned and Mr. Nadir also mentioned about linking. So as a rule of thumb, every initiative should be linked to at least one objective. Our focus is on one objective and one initiative. Now, one initiative can have multiple objectives linked to it. And it's a very simple open-ended question. When I sit in a POI or portfolio of initiative selection session or workshop orchestrated by OSM, I will open the strategy map and ask a simple question to my quorum. How do I achieve this objective? For example, if you say, I want to increase my market share, a simple open-ended question, how do I achieve my market share? How can I increase my market share from X to X plus 1? It's as simple as this. And then you let the discussion take its own natural course about how they want to open a branch and this and that. Let's take, for the simplicity, we take one example of opening a new branch in a new area, right? So how will this initiative, how much this initiative will cost? I'm not going to get into the details at this point, right? For me right now, capturing the initiative is more important than getting into and killing, be the killer or the motherboard of this initiative on the spot. Because if I go there, I will will make everybody defensive, and they will start not putting their ideas because they will take it personally. So for me, as a role of strategist, I will encourage everybody to give me their ideas. Nothing is wrong, nothing is absurd. Give me everything you have, I will put it in a list. Later on, I will rationalize it. How will I rationalize it? I will bring the subjectivity from my expert, as Mr. Saladin mentioned, the bandwidth, the performance analytics approach. I should have the business intelligence that will this branch, opening this branch, will add value or not, or will it add more cost? And it can be contradicting. If I want to downsize or reduce my cost, and I'm talking about opening a branch, it's quite contradicting because I have to invest. There is capex, right? So how do I prioritize it? I typically, what we use as a practice, we use 4 criteria of prioritizing initiatives. We focus on the cost it takes. So the more it cost it has, the slightly lesser, we consider it lesser in terms of ranking. The time it takes, the lesser time it takes, it has more priority for me. The most important part is the number of objectives that it links to. If it links more than one, I prioritize it higher, right? If it has more objectives, typically three, I will consider it as a very important initiative. Fourth one, it's very important. Now, normally it's very subjective topic to talk about initiative, linking it. There is no actually scientific way to link one initiative to one KPI, right? It's not. There's no. In my opinion, I can
There is
be
no.
wrong, right? So how do I give this? I will give the 25% weightage to the owner, the CEO, the business function owner. You put a weight of this initiative because you are the subject matter expert. You know your business more than anybody else. You decide out of these 4 parameters, 125% I give it to you. You decide. And then I put it on a rating scale, and I will give the highest score the top priority. And that's how I prioritize my 20,
Yeah.
30 list of initiatives. So everybody, it's transparent process. I am not the one deciding. You guys are deciding. So as OSM, one of the key element is to be transparent, right? So
Correct.
I am not degrading anybody. I am giving the weapon or the tools in your hand. You decide and let the system take its due course. I hope
Perfect.
that answers the question.
Perfect. Perfect. Identifying the initiatives, giving them priorities, and then selecting the right owner. Selecting the right owner. Okay. So no matter what kind of initiatives you choose, selecting the right owner, empowering them, and then giving the right budgets. Okay. You create initiatives, but you don't give them budgets. Then it's a problem. And most important thing here is the sequence of initiatives. Okay, so you have like let us say 8 or 9 initiatives in place, but there is a the cause and effect base linkage between the initiatives. So you have to complete certain initiatives in a sequence to generate value.
Yes, benefit.
Okay, if one project is slow down and another project is picking up faster, then it's not going to add value. So you have to make sure from the OSM side that the symphony take place. Okay, the harmony should be there between the initiatives. If any initiative due to some reason slowed down by resources or something, by funding or whatever, then highlight it. Go to the CEO or CFO, whoever. Guys, this initiative needs some more attention, some support, maybe resource support or whatever, like some key resource left the organization, and this initiative becomes slow down. So please do something to bring this initiative to the level, so that all the other initiatives together generate value to the organization. So that's very interesting discussion. I think there is a lot. Okay, so because of the time constraint, let us take it forward. So we have one most important part, most important role of OSM: preparing for strategy reviews. Okay, if you talk about the majority of the time spent for by OSM is preparing for the strategy reviews. Preparation means preparing that they're making sure that the data is ready, the objective performance is ready, initiative performance is ready, the everything is ready, KPI performance is collected, everything is ready, and then you invite for a meeting, you select a theme which to focus on the review meetings, and then you conduct the review meeting. I think this is one of the second half of the story for OSM. The first half is the formulation, translation, everything. The second half is make sure that the reports are updated, they're executed, and then the feedback. mechanism, and then of course there is a follow through. Now, preparing for this meeting takes a lot of time. This is where the OSM spend, especially the executives spend time. So how does this happen? Okay, then how does this review process take place? So what is the role of OSM here? Without OSM, it is very complicated. The strategy review meeting itself will become a mess. So conducting review meeting in a more organized way can be done only by OSM. Okay, it does not matter what is the size of OSM. It could be only one guy, or it could be maybe a couple of guys, whatever. But OSM plays a key role. So another, would you like to talk about the performance reporting and then the review meetings? So this is,
Pleasure.
then we'll talk about other topics
Yes,
to close it.
you are really leading this meeting. I really appreciate it. And yes, if we talk about this review meeting or whatever, it comes under which I call it under performance management, which is the main role of the OSM after, of course, after all what we have talked about. Preparation for this review meeting, either let us first of all say or define it into 3 meetings. First of all, operational review meeting, strategic review meeting, and then the last one, which we call it retreat or strategy as whole review meeting. And each meeting has its defined role and defined even tools and defined attendees for each review meeting. And this is the role of OSM to be very clever and to bring the right data to each meeting, the right people to each meeting, and the right tools to each meeting. If we talk about operational meeting, which comes, and sometimes maybe even it is not the role of OSM, but just to highlight this, that these are maybe these kind of meeting held by maybe bi-weekly or monthly or daily, or not daily or weekly. The people attending this are the really operational people who are really doing the day-to-day work, and they report about their day-to-day work. And this operational meeting, just to summarize, the operational results or the results of the operational meeting will be shifted or bring up to the let us say quarterly meeting, which is to review the performance for this first quarter, whatever. Now, the attendees for this meeting, quarterly review meeting, will be the managing director, will be the head of departments or head of sections or whatever, but also the top management. Another, of course, the OSM manager or director will be attending. And here is very important issue, because you have to review all the information you have, and you will be preparing to represent these results. The main tool to present or to show the issue is the balance scorecard and using maybe the dashboard. Very important issue, that if there is some issues that you feel that they are critical issues or need more clarification during the discussion, you should bring the guy who is in charge of this specific area that you feel that this is questionable or need maybe more clarification, or will be asked by the top management about this. You should bring him and put him ready. I don't want to say out of the room, but ready outside for calling, or to bring him at the right time, at the right moment, to clarify or to explain about this issue. You will be the orchestra or the person who is really facilitating the meeting. You have to control the time, you have to control also the issues discussed, and you have to control also who will talk first and about the main issues during avoiding these guys. And this is a very practical issue from my experience, avoiding these guys who are trying to bring the meeting out of the track of the meeting. So this is very important role of you as OSM director or manager. So you should start with, first of all, preparation from, as we mentioned, bring the data, etc., and put agenda, very tough agenda for the meeting. First of all, we are going to discuss, review the issues, and then the main issue should be focusing on the strategical issues. We should discuss the strategical issues, what's happening and why it's happening, not to go into details of the KPIs, details of etc. So no, we should look to the big picture. And also, as I mentioned, that this balance scorecard will be the main tool and bring the right people to the meeting. If we go to the retreat meeting or by the end of the year meeting, this is also another story, another people attending, another way of showing the showing the issue or whatever we call it. And the main tool in this retreat meeting, we should be careful. We should demonstrate and highlight what's going on new in the business. It will be a great idea if you come to the meeting with a brief SWOT analysis, a new SWOT analysis about what's going on. As I mentioned at the very beginning, because the business now is more complicated, the business now is volatile, we need moving or continuous strategy development. So you should be main tool to this retreat meeting or strategy as a whole review meeting. You should bring, even maybe you can bring some new trend in the country, some new trend in the technology, in order to adapt these new issues to the strategy and to come out from the meeting with the new ideas, with the new, maybe we need a transformation, as Salah ad-Din mentioned. Maybe we need to adapt ourselves to this new trend in the market, a new customer need, a new technology, etc., etc. I think here that's how I just brief it because of the time, as you mentioned, Mr. Sheikh. But let us focus about these two strategy review and retreat review meeting. The tools and the attendees are very important, and agenda is very, very important. Yes.
Yeah. So very important. Okay. So it's very critical now. We are running out of time. Another 10 minutes maximum. We have to. There are one or two questions, but we'll talk about it. How to structure the OSM. So OSM sometimes, it's reports to CEO, in some organizations to CFO, in some organizations to maybe COO. Okay, so just very quickly, we should not spend a lot of time.
Shall I show? If you allow me to give a presentation, because I know this is very critical, so I want to show something. Can I present something?
No, we have very tough time because only 13 minutes left.
It is only just a slide, one slide.
Okay,
to show
go ahead.
I hope I can.
Yeah, go ahead. You can share your screen.
Yes. I hope it will work. Do you see things now or not?
Not yet. Yeah.
You see anything now?
No. For me, no.
So there is something. Yes. Okay. Here you can see. You see it?
Yeah. I did not see it. Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You see it?
Yeah.
Now you can see. Okay. So just to summarize very quickly, the strategy management process, I want to highlight about the core process of this Office of Strategy Management, balance scorecard, organization alignment, etc. So there are three core process of the Office of the Strategy Management: core process, desirable OSM process like initiative, etc., and also integrated that we can work with the other guys to it. The three that I want to show, just to briefly, here are the most important and the most, how we call it, applicable issues about the location of the Office of the Strategy Management. It should be, I really appreciate, or I really recommend that it should be directly linked as the first one on the left, linked to the director of the or CEO. If it is not linked directly, it should be dotted with the CEO. Sometimes it comes under the financial department, but we should avoid any other level or lower level than these two first row levels. That's what I just want to share, and allow me and excuse me for if I just disturbed you, Mr. Sheikh. This is, I think,
no problem. Very nice. So it should be directly connected to a CEO, whether it is a direct or
Yes.
with the dotted. That's good.
Yes.
We have 10 more minutes maximum, so we cannot extend this because it's already it's actually meant for only 90 minutes, but because of this topic is so interesting, so we are
It's very
get going.
interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
and
We can go on for
now
another 3 hours.
yeah, it will go because everybody is expert in that domain. Okay, there is a one question. Let us take it up. Yeah, we face the problem always about the accountability of achieving the objective, especially if it is shared objectives. As a sector, then it's responsibility. Yeah, it's very important question. I think Saladdin, would you like to take up this question?
Yeah, in the framework, we have at the level of the governance, we have a matrix. Who is responsible, who is accountable, who has to deliver, who has to be informed, who has to decide. Everything is clear, and to support an objective, the achievement of an objective, maybe you can have a portfolio of initiatives, not only one, 2 or 3, and maybe and sometimes an initiative is conducted through 2 or 3 projects during the transformation. So, but you have responsibilities with measurement and KPI, linking individuals with projects or with initiatives, portfolio. This is very clear. Now, in terms of bonus incentive, we are talking about aligning resources on the strategy. This has to be transparent and very clear. We have to target the performance of the groups or teams and the individual performance in the groups, and to make them transparent so people are encouraged to collaborate. That is fundamental. And in this collaboration, some people provide more results, achieve more their KPIs, contribute more to the team performance. And we have to do the clear distinction for that and to reward both of them.
Yeah, perfect, sir. Perfect. So I have one example. I have an example, sir.
Okay, please.
You can give, but I have an example. So we had one example called customer service level. Okay. So customer service level is the joint objective of the both manufacturing, of course, sales and customer service. These 3 people are involved in this. Now, I cannot put one person responsible for this. Okay. So this is a joint objective, but we cannot split it also. It should be one. Okay. Customer service level. Okay. So what we did is we created 3 KPIs. One KPI for production, one KPI for sales, one KPI for service, and then we give the weightages. Okay. So then we kept KPIs in such a way that everybody is happy at the same time they are accountable. Okay. So then when you just roll it up, okay, so the object is very clear. By the way, doing this has helped them a lot to work together. Otherwise, they always used to fight. Okay, they used always to fight. Now they are working together because their KPI they are doing it, and they have to get the objective to be done. Okay, so that there is no standard way. It's not a science. It is more like a how you adopt the things and a given
different school of thought.
Yes, we should agree. Okay. We should, as you mentioned, the crucial issue is about the weighting. We should agree on the weighting of each KPI related to the objective, because it's not fair to divide it. So the weight is very important, as you mentioned, Mr. Shah. That's
I think the cascading happens at KPI level rather than the objective level, right? So you have the contributory KPIs, you have new KPIs, and you have shared KPIs, right? So that's how you differentiate the accountability between different partners. And linking it to performance incentive, that's a very tricky question, and we can have a separate 3-hour session on that.
We should have talked about maybe another 1 hour how to link the performance and all. But now the last but not the least, So how does that software for Office of Strategy Management play a key role? Okay, so since we are talking about True Strategy here as a sponsor, okay, so how does that help? Because it is so far we discussed about so many things. Okay, so to make it easy, without software, it's very difficult. Right from the strategy analysis to the formulation to the organizational alignments, all the things we all know, we suffered. Okay, by doing it in Excel files and then PowerPoint presentations. Okay, it's a nightmare. Okay, to maintain a consistency. So having a software is always one of the most important thing. What do you think in that, Samir?
Sure. I think in the interest of time, if I summarize it, there is world before the digital disruption, and there is world of strategy after the digital disruption, right? So before, in the 1980s, how they used to calculate scorecards, I can only imagine, as you mentioned rightly. So what is the role of a software? A role of a software, in my opinion, and having worked with multiple different softwares and exploring, still I continue to explore. One of the key role is, the primary role of a software is to give a single source of truth at the right, at as close to as real time as it is possible, right? Otherwise, the decision maker is looking at different sources, different time frames, different people, and at different pieces of information. So if you want to make a decision, an informed decision, you can only do it with a software that is as integrated, that is connecting the strategy management, the initiative management, the individual performance management in one place. If it doesn't happen this way, and if you want to go the extra mile, you want to have the board reporting or the performance reporting, if you want to connect that, that's the extra mile, right? Imagine if a click of a button you can publish a quarterly report. For me, that's, music to my ears. I'm fasting, but that will be the best case scenario. If I can have something like that and real time information, I can make my CEO open his phone and look at what's happening in the business right now. That's, for me, is the perfect. And that, for me, I will do I will consider OSM's job complete if I can get him that, that information on his mobile. And this is how I summarize it.
Perfect.
One just last one comment about again about the role of OSM to be sure about the data, because we know
Yes.
rubbish in, rubbish out, and this is
Yes.
I suffered a lot. So you should be careful of having the right data, because by the end, as you mentioned, that these technology or whatever you call it, business intelligence, I don't know what, if you bring or you are not really sure and about the right data you bring in, then whatever decisions or whatever information will be really misguiding and will bring you to I don't know.
Absolutely.
So data correctness, data I don't know whatever is
Accuracy
very
and
very
integrity.
important. Yes,
Data integrity.
Perfect.
thank you.
Yeah. Uh, Mr. Saladdin, you would like to
My point
comment
of
on
view,
the. Mhm.
the software is a tool, is something
Yeah.
that enhances my capacity or the organizational capacity. Okay, it has to facilitate a tool that helps me as OSM or CEO to focus on the highest level value of tasks and to get rid of the other things that are routinized, standardized, and done in a perfect way. The perfect way, it means pertinence of the processes that are standard. We have defined them and so on. I have to take care only of the level with the highest value in my role as OSM or CEO. If a software doesn't help me to get rid of all things with low value, it's not helping, first of all. Second, it has to help me to make decisions based on data analysis that are pertinent and close to real time. Close to real time. We are talking about VUCA environment, changing
Yeah.
things, and so on. If I want to bring some agility, adaptability to my organization, I have to be able to make decisions in fast way based on data. This is the second thing. The other thing, it forces the organization to have standards in terms of lexicon, what they talk about. When they use a word, it means the same thing for everybody, and so on. And it helps for continuous improvement.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
it.
Decision making also help them to have the right decision on time
And save time. Save time.
Yeah.
Save time and record. Keep it unambiguous recording of the data. Keep it handy. Okay. So it's very, very important. I think we run out of time. So, but we will extend it for a couple of minutes. So I would like to, I would like to thank you all. And 1 minute, sir. I would like to give a final round of key takeaways. So if you would like to add 1 or 2 key takeaways from your side for the audience. So what is it you would advise? Yeah, please go ahead, Mr. Saleh.
Just for the performance management, we focused on the side of the system that is supporting the execution performance, the strategy execution performance. But the strategy, the performance of the organization depend on this directly, and also on other aspects that impact the ROI later. Like, for example, how we tackle the individual performance in executing strategy, but also in being performant in the operations, because the operations delivers the goods and services.
Correct.
Even if it's not strategic. The individual performance, continuous improvement. When you transform or change through a strategic plan, strategs and these things, if you don't capitalize on the improvement immediately, and you don't have a team to take in charge the results and to make them improvable, documented and improvable later, you will lose the capitalization. You need continuous improvement performance. What we have done with the output of the strategic analysis and the orientations. And the culture. We have to system that help us. It's complex, but our culture is evolving or not in parallel. That's it.
Yeah. So great, sir. So any final takeaway from Mr. Nader, just to before wrap it up?
My final advice, and I always call the OSM is the brain of the organization. So please, everybody in this OSM or in this office or whatever you call it, please behave like this. Don't make any side fights, or don't make any side conflicts or whatever. Behave as the brain of the organization. Behave as the advisor, not only the top management but also to the others. Behave as the coordinator. Behave as the role model. Behave as the change agent. Whatever. Don't take things. Don't highlight what you are doing, but what you are doing will highlight what you have done and bring you, and will be the friend of everybody in the organization. That's my final takeaway.
Perfect, sir. Yes, Samir. Final thoughts.
I will just build upon what Mr. Nader and Mr. Salah mentioned. Is you want to be the eyes of the CEO, right? You want to be the extended arm of the CEO. So the one of the main reason for you to exist is to help the CEO to make decisions, right? So everything you should do, you should aspire to be that. And every time, now and then, you should keep checking on yourself. Are you giving that value to your CEO? Are you enabling him to make that decision through processes, templates, tools, reports, whatever that may be? But in a simple question to yourself as OSM is, are you creating value for the organization? If you're not, you need to reconsider what you're doing. Maybe there is something that you're missing very obviously, right? And as one of the value of OSM is to have the integrity and the trust. If you do not have this, in my humble experience, whether it's the leader, you should be so open enough that office boy can come and talk to you very freely without being judgmental, right? And that's one of the key of OSM. If you cannot have this, then you have bigger issues to all these reports, good luck getting those reports, because you cannot, if you cannot be trusted, you cannot advise somebody on it, right?
Yeah.
So that's my key takeaway for all the OSM
Yeah.
professionals there.
Perfect. So I think 1 minute, sir. Yeah.
Just a
So
warning.
OSM.
Warning.
You'll tell.
When you are a new OSM and new team in OSM, the trap that you have to avoid is to be pushed to a role of the one who does the strategy, or to be perceived as that, to endorse this thing.
Correct.
For your ego something, but it's a big trap, and many teams fail because of this.
Yeah. So OSM, actually, if the job is done properly by OSM, so OSM will be literally friend for all departments. Okay, so everybody feel comfortable. Everybody will share their pain areas. Okay, sometimes OSM will directly or indirectly help them to solve that. Maybe you don't need to even tell about those pain areas indirectly. Okay, so you help them really from the enabler point of view. You really try to help those department. You don't need to take credit for that. Just let it go, because if the strategy is executed properly and then organization is getting results, that is the deliverable for OSM. Okay, nothing less, nothing more. If you are doing a great job, and if your organization is not doing good, if your production or manufacturing is not doing good, then it's no use. So organization, like winning a team. So team winning is most important, and OSM plays a key role. Okay, so I think that's with that opportunity, with that said, so we conclude this session. So I thank all panelists, expert panelists. So thank you very much for joining the session today. It's a very interesting session. I think we need another 2 hours to discuss in detail. But yeah, and I thank all the participants who are there. Okay, and this recording will be posted also who missed it. And I take this as an opportunity to thank on behalf of True Strategy. So that's what we do. So thank you all the organizers and then who spend time in making this event a success. So thank you very much, and have a great time. So let us look for another round of event. We'll catch up again. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nader. Thank you very much, Mr. Salam. Thank you, Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you.
Have a blessed
Thank you very
Ramadan.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.